Hello students, our topic for today's lecture is code optimization. In this lecture, we will understand what are the various types of code optimization and how to remove the loop invariant computation. Code optimization. As we know that this is the compiler in which front end that contain lexical, syntax and semantic analysis phases, back end code generation phase, and there is mid end that is known as optimizer. That means when we are providing the source code as input to the front end, it converts the source code into intermediate representation. This intermediate representation is given as input to the optimizer. It optimizes the intermediate representation and provide the optimized intermediate representation. This intermediate representation is given as input to the backend and backend provide the target code. Now, the goal of code optimization is, or you can say the goal that we have to achieve during the code optimization. Discover program runtime behavior at compile time. That means we want to find out the program runtime behavior at the time of compilation. Use the information to improve the generated code in terms of speed up runtime execution of compiled code or reduce the size of compiled code. Correctness. Optimization must preserve the meaning of the source program. Profitability. Optimization must improve the quality of the code. Translation of source code to target code is one-to-many mapping. It means when we are providing the source code as input to the front end, it provides us the intermediate representation. When we are optimizing the intermediate representation, different optimization will provide the different intermediate representation. And for those intermediate representation, we will get different target code. So we can say the translation of source code to target code is one-to-many mapping. Optimization depend upon the situation. For a program that is expected to run few times and which will then be discarded, no optimization is necessary. But if the program is expected to run many times, then in that case the optimization is required. Types of optimization. Actually, the optimization can be divided into two types. One is machine independent and another is machine dependent optimization. In machine independent optimization, there is loop invariant code motion. It means move the operations to less frequently executed places. The example is like that. Suppose that we have written a code inside the loop, but inside the loop the value of that code is always same. So we can put that code outside the loop if it does not change the meaning of the program. Elimination of induction variable. It is to reduce the number of additions or subtractions inside a loop and improve both runtime performance and code space. Now, elimination of common sub-expression or redundant expression elimination. It is used to remove the redundancy in expressions that are present in a program. Elimination of useless and unreachable or dead code. Dead code or unreachable code are those in which the control cannot reach from any path. Strength reduction. Expensive operations are replaced with equivalent but less expensive operations. Example is what? As we know that the asterisk, or you can say the multiplication, is expensive as compared to the addition. So if it is possible without changing the program meaning, we can replace the multiplication operations by addition operations. That is known as strength reduction. Now, machine dependent optimization. Machine dependent optimization means the optimization that depend upon the architecture of the machine. Instruction selection. To take advantage of special hardware features. That means when we are optimizing the program, at that time we are concerned with what are the hardware that are present in the current machine, and according to the hardware that are present in the current machine, we can select the instruction. Instruction scheduling. It is used to introduce parallelism inside the program. Register allocation. Manage bounded machine resources. That means what? If suppose that there is a machine in which only 5 registers are present. Now, when we are writing the program, it is important for us to run that program by using only the 5 register. To manage the registers, we are using the concept of optimization that is known as register allocation. Loop optimization. Loop can be optimized by the following techniques. First one is invariant code. A fragment of code that reside in the loop and computes the same value at each iteration is called a loop invariant code. This code can be moved out of the loop by saving it to be computed only once rather than will with each iteration. Induction analysis. A variable is called an induction variable if its value is altered within the loop by a loop invariant value. Strength reduction. There are expressions that consume more CPU cycles, time, and memory. These expressions should be replaced with cheaper expressions without compromising the output of the expression. For example, multiplication is expensive in terms of CPU cycles, and it can be replaced by left shift operation, and that yields the same result. But the left shift operation takes less number of CPU cycle as compared to the multiplication operation. Now we will focus on what that is known as loop invariant code removal. Now, how to remove the loop invariant code from the loop? The steps that are required to remove the loop invariant code are identification of loop invariant computation inside the loop. That means first task is what? We have to identify the loop invariant computations that are present inside the loop. Second one, move the loop invariant code outside the loop if the move does not lead to a change in the program meaning. Then third one, identification of loop invariant computation is done as first we have to find out detection of loop in the program. When we are finding the loop invariant computation inside the loop, our first task is to find out the loop inside the program. For detecting the loop, a graphical representation is used. That is known as program flow graph, or it is also known as, in some cases, control flow graph. And it shows how the control is flowing in the program. To obtain program flow graph, the intermediate code is partitioned into basic block. Basic block. That means what? When we want to find out the program flow graph, first we have to find out the basic block. To find the basic block, leader statements are required. It means what? When we want to find out the loop, first we have to find out the leader statement, then basic block, then control flow graph or program flow graph. Now, how to find out the leader statement? Our first task is how to find out the leader statement. To understand how to find out the leader statement, these are the rules. First one. First statement of the program is leader statement. The target of conditional, that means what? If we are written like this, if A is less than B, then go to something else. The target of conditional or unconditional. Unconditional means go to 3, like conditional means if A is less than B, then go to 3. Go to is a leader statement. That means the target of conditional or unconditional go to is a leader statement. The first one is what? The first statement of the program is leader statement. Second one, the target of conditional or unconditional go to is a leader statement. Third one, a statement that immediately follows a conditional go to is a leader statement. That means there are 3 rules. First one is what? First statement of the program is the leader statement. The target, second one, the target of conditional or unconditional go to is a leader statement. And the statement that immediately follows a conditional go to is a leader statement. Now let's take an example and understand that how to find out the leader statement. For example, you are given with this intermediate code for a program. Now, our task is to find out the leader statement. As we know that our first rule is the first statement of the program is leader statement. In this case, the first statement is what? F assigned the value 1. So it becomes the leader statement. Now we can see that. The first statement of the program is leader statement. So it becomes leader 1. I have just given the name as L1, leader 1. Now, the target of second conditional or unconditional go to is the leader statement. So you can see here this is unconditional go to, and the target of unconditional go to is 3. So our third statement becomes the leader statement. You can see that this becomes the leader statement 2. Now you can see here this is unconditional go to, and in this case the target of conditional or unconditional go to is the leader statement. Here the target is 8. So the leader statement is 8. This one. And the statement that immediately follows the conditional go to, because this is the conditional go to here. And which statement immediately follows this conditional go to? The fourth statement. So this is also a leader statement. So we can see 4 and 8 both are leader statement in this case. This one leader statement and 8, this one leader statement. So in this program there are 4 leader statements. First one, third one, fourth one and 8th one. These are the leader statements. Now the next topic is identification of basic block. Basic block is a straight line code sequence which has no branches, in and out branches both, except to the entry and at the end respectively. That means what? If in the basic block the control enters, then it can be go outside of the basic block after completing the each statement. That means in the basic block there are only two entry. One is the beginning and another is at the end. Basic block is a set of statement which always executes one after other in a sequence. Now, how to find out the basic block? Include all statements starting from a leader statement and up to but not including the next leader statement. That means the basic block means what? We have to start from the leader statement and all the statements will be included up to but not including the next leader statement. Now we will see how to find out the basic block. This is the program. These are the leader statement L1, L2, L3 and L4. So for this one, the basic block is what? Basic block contains 1, 2 but not 3. It will contain the first leader statement, then all the statement up to but not including the next leader statement. That means we have to not include L2. So our first basic block is which contain statement 1 and 2. This basic block I have given the name as basic block 1 BB1. Second basic block. You can see here the second basic block contains only statement 3. This basic block 2. And our third basic block will start from L3 up to statement number 7. This basic block 3, and at last our basic block will be only 8th statement. This basic block 4. In this way we can find out the basic blocks. Now, construction of program or control flow graph. The basic blocks constitute, you know that in a graph, if we are just constructing any graph, there will be nodes and edges. The basic blocks constitute the nodes or vertices of the program flow graph. That means the basic blocks that are present in the program becomes the node in the program flow graph. The edges in the basic flow graph are decided as follows. If B1 is a basic block, B1 and B2 are two basic blocks, then add an edge from B1 to B2 in the program flow graph if B2 follows B1 in an execution sequence. That means if after completing B1 block and control goes to the B2 block, then there will be an edge from B1 to B2. Block B2 follows B1 in an execution sequence if and only if the first statement of the block B2 immediately follows the last statement of block B1 in the 3 address code, and the last statement of block B1 is not an unconditional go-to statement. It means what? If the last statement of B1, after the last statement of B1, our first statement of B2 is executed, then there will be an edge from B1 to B2. Second, the last statement of block B1 is either a conditional or unconditional go-to statement, and the first statement of block B2 is the target of last statement of block B1. It means if the last statement of block B1 is the conditional or unconditional goto and the target of conditional and unconditional goto is the first statement of block B2, in that case there will be an edge from B1 to B2. Now, how to construct the program flow graph? These are the blocks, as we know that. This example I had taken in case of basic one, we are discussing the basic block. This was the basic block 1. So the node first BB1 is created. For the second basic block, this one, a node will be created. This node BB2. And you can see here how the edges are connected. You know that after execution of the last statement of block B1, BB1, a third statement will be executed. And the third statement is the first statement of block BB2. So there will be an edge from BB1 to BB2. So that's why this edge is connected here. For this edge, this is the starting, or you can say the entry point of the program. That's why this edge is added here. Now for the block B3, we can see here the target of block BB2 is 8, this one. That means there will be an edge from BB2 to the 8th statement, in which this will be, or you can say the basic block in which the 8th statement will come. Now, and this is the conditional goto. So if it is false, then the control goes to 4. So there will be two edges. One is from BB2 to statement 8 and one is from BB2 to statement 4. So this is BB3. There is an edge from BB2 to BB3 and there is an edge from BB2 to statement 8. And our statement 8 is in BB4. So this is BB2 to go, this is will go to BB4. So, and you can see here from BB3 there is go to 3. In BB3 there is go to 3. That means it will goes to the BB2. That's why this one BB3 to BB2 by using this statement go to 3. Now, and it will be connected to BB4, this one, and this is the exit point of this basic block. Now, to find out the loop, first we have to find out the dominator. Now, what is dominator? Node X dominates node Y in a graph X dom Y if every path from the start node to Y goes through X. That means what? X dominates Y if and only if every path from the start goes to Y only through X. Then we will say that X dominates Y. Any node X is dominator of itself. Dominators can be organized in a tree that is known as dominator tree. Now, suppose that this is the graph which is given to us and our task is to find out the dominator in this graph. You can see here. First, this one, you can say node 1. Node 1, the dominator for node 1 is 1 itself. Now for node 2, when we are coming to node 2, we always come from node 1. So the dominator for 2 becomes 1 and 2. Same for 3. If the control comes at 3, it always comes from node 1. So the dominator for 3 are 1 and 3. This one. For node 4, we can see when the control comes to node 4, it always comes by node 1, or you can say through node 1. So the dominator for 4 are 1 and 4. This 1 and 4. For node 5, the control from the beginning, the control always comes through node 1, node 4 and 5 itself. So the dominator for 5 are 1, 4, 5. This 2 and you can see here, this for node 4, this 2 and 3 is not included here, because when the control comes from is node 1, or you can say from the beginning, it always comes through node 1, but it can come with 2 or 3. That means it is not required that it always come with 2 or 3. But it is known to us that when the control comes to 4, it always comes through 1. For 6, the control comes from 1 always, 4 and 6 itself. So it becomes here 1, 4, 6. For 7, the control comes from 1 always, 4 always, then 5 always, then 7. It means it becomes 1, 4, 5, 7. This one. Now, how to construct the dominator tree? For node 1, this one, it is the dominator of, immediate dominator of node 2 and node 3, this one, as well as node 4. You can see here, the dominator of 2 is 1, 2. 2 is itself here. So, the immediate dominator is 1 only. And the immediate dominator for this one is what? Only 1. The immediate dominator of this one is what? Only 1. So, these nodes are directly connected in dominator tree with 1. So, 1 is connected to 2, 1 is connected to 3, 1 is connected to 4. Now, for 5 and 6, 5 is connected, or or you can say the dominator of 5 are 4 and 5. Oh, sorry, 1 and 4, and it is itself here. The 1 and 4. It means what? Immediate dominator of 5 is what? 4. So 5 is connected to 4. The dominator of 5 becomes what? Now you can traverse the tree only from the 5. 5 itself, then 4, then 1. The dominator of 5 are what? The dominator of 5, the dominators of 5 are 1, 4, 5. Now for the 6, it is connected, or you can say the dominator of 6 are what? 1, 4, 6. 6 is itself. So the dominators are 1 and 4. So directly it is connected to 4. It becomes 4. The dominator of 6 are what? 6, 4, 1. That is 1, 4, 6. For the 7, in the same way, the 7 is connected to 5. It is the dominator of 7 are what? You can see here 7, 5, 4, 1. This is the dominator tree. Now, natural loops. In the natural loops, there is single entry point that is known as header. Header dominates all nodes in the loop. Now, back edge is an edge whose head dominates its tail, and there is an edge from tail to head. That means what? If there is an edge from tail to head and head dominates the tail, then that is a back edge. A back edge must be a part of at least one loop. The natural loop of a back edge is the smallest set of nodes that include the head and tail of the package and has no predecessors outside the set except for the predecessors of the header. Algorithm for finding the natural loops. Find the dominator relations in program flow graph. Identify the package. Find the natural loop associated with the package. Now, finding the packages. Perform a depth first search. For each package, X derives to Y. That means there is an edge from X to Y. Check if Y is in X dominator list, then that will be package. Finding natural loop. Suppose the package is Y to X. Delete X from the flow graph. Find those nodes that can reach Y. Those nodes plus X form the natural loop of Y to X, inner loops. If two loops do not have the same header, they are either disjoint or one is entirely contained, nested within the other. If two loops share the same header, like this, it is hard to tell which is the inner loop. So in this case, we combine these as we take these loops as one loop. Pre-header. Optimization often require code to be executed once before the loop. Create a pre-header basic block for every loop. You can see here. This is the loop. This is the header. And these are the controls that are coming. Now in this case, this is the loop. This is the header. And we have created here the pre-header block. And control from pre-header block to go from pre-header block, it goes to header block. Now reaching definitions. A reaching definition for a given instruction in another instruction. The target variable of which may reach the given instruction without an intervening assignment. It means what? Suppose that there is a definition d1 x equal to 3, d2 y equal to x. You can see here this x equal to 3 is used here. So we can see d1 is reaching definition at d2. d1 is reaching definition as d2. Now in this case d1 equal to y, d1 is y equal to 3, d2 is y equal to 4, d3 is x equal to y. Here d1 you can see here y equal to 3, y is 3 here, and this will kill this definition because now y becomes 4. So in this case d1 is no longer reaching definition at d3 because d2 kills its reach. This is known as reaching definition. Detection of loop invariant computation. How to detect the loop invariant computation? Inputs that are provided are basic blocks and program flow graph, dominator relation, and loop information. Output instructions that are loop invariant. Invariant set, but first it is initialized as 5 null set. Repeat for each instruction I not belongs to environment set variable. If operands are constant or have definitions outside the loop or have exactly one definition D that belongs to environment set variable, then environment set, then that I is added, or you can say it will be included into the environment set. And this loop will go until no change in the environment set variable. Now loop invariant computation. removal, an example. We want to discuss here an example. This is the example, and these are the three address code in a program. F1, this one, I equal to 2, X equal to 1, this one, and these are the basic blocks here, BB1, BB2, and this one is BB3, BB4, and this is the program as we had already discussed how to construct the program. Now you can see here, first environment set variable is 5, and outside loop the definitions are what? 1, 2 and 3, because the loop is inside BB2 and BB3. This is start from BB2 and it iterate between BB2 and BB3. So these are the reaching definitions, or you can these are the definitions that are outside the loop. First one, second, third. So the definition outside loop definitions are 1, 2 and 3. Now come inside the loop. Here environment variable becomes 5. What is the rule here? Which rule is applied here? You can see here. If the operands are constant and or have definition outside the loop, or have exactly one definition D belongs to environment set. You can see here this one. In this case, the operands are F and I is defined outside the loop. I is defined outside the loop. So it becomes it is included into the environment set. So environment set becomes 5 now. Now come to 6. You can see in the 6, X that is defined outside the loop. So it can be included into the environment set. So 5 and 6 are now 5 is already present, 6 is included here. Now for 7, I is defined outside. So this is constant and I is defined outside. So this is this definition, or you can say this statement can be included into the environment set. So 7 is included here. Now for this 8, you can see it. Here I is defined once again. So if there is, you can see here, if there is another definition, and as we can see here, till 7th statement I was defined outside the loop, but for 8th now when we are coming to 8th statement, here I is defined. So if I is defined here, so we cannot say I is defined now outside the loop. If I is not defined outside the loop, in that case, our statement number 7 cannot be included in environment set. You can see here. If I is not defined outside the loop, then this cannot be included into the environment set. And same for 5 statement also. If I is not defined outside the loop, then this cannot be included in the environment set. So now when we are getting this definition I equal to T1, 5 and 7 statements are removed from the environment set as I has been defined again. So our environment set becomes 6 now. These are the expressions that were present inside the loop. Now our environment set contains 6 statements. That means 6th statement is the loop invariant computation. This y equal to x plus 5. Now we have to create the pre-header block here. Pre-header block. And you can see here also in this program flow graph, I have written the code which is inside the basic block. This one, basic block 1, basic block 2, basic block 3 and basic block 4. Now the pre-header, you can see here, this is the loop invariant computation. So it should be removed from the loop and it can goes outside the loop in the pre-header block. First we have to create the pre-header block. This is the pre-header block. This one, this is the pre-header block. and this statement is removed from here and it has been inserted into the pre-header block, this one. So now the control comes from this block to the pre-header, then pre-header to the header block. This is the loop invariant computation removal example. Thank you. Thank you very much.